You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're still collecting shiny things. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to keep resetting your goals, start training Jiu Jitsu. I'd like to welcome Gavin Stewart to my podcast. Hi Gavin, how are you?
How you doing, Lou? Thank you very much for having me on.
You are very welcome. It's nice to have a chat with you. And whilst we're recording this now, kind of towards the end of June, you have just come back with yet another NAGA Belt. So let's start there.
Yeah, it was another good day out for the guys. Yeah, it wasn't just me. There was 10th Planet Banbury were there in force. So yeah, it was real good fun. I love the NAGA format. The rounds are a bit small. I'm getting on a bit now. I'm 43 years old, so I'm in the Masters or Directors division. So it's a 4-minute round, which is not a lot of time to work, But yeah, managed to get all submission victories at the weekend. So quite happy with the performance, to be honest.
Fantastic. Okay, so you mentioned 4-minute rounds. What's that about? Because I don't know anything about NAGA. Talk me through this structure.
Well, it's a strange thing because Polaris have changed the way they're doing it now. But the last time I did Polaris, it's a 10-minute round. Normally, a black belt super fight would be 10-minute round. So lots of time to work, lots of time to get tired, but lots of time to work. Whereas you go to NAGA and because it's directors, so you're 40 plus. They've give us 4-minute rounds, so it's like, okay, off we go, straight to work. But I quite like it. It's quite frantic. It suits my energy, which is a bit scatty. So yeah, it's quite nice. But I like it because you tend to get people rush into positions and they'll try and blast double big shots from out of nowhere, or pull guard, which is fine too. That I'm a guard puller myself, so that's fine by me. But it tends to get the action going. The only problem is if you get into a bad position, people like to stall out. They'll look at the clock. Oh, 90 seconds left, and you're like, no, try and finish me. Try and get a sub. Like the 10th Planet kind of known for being sub hunters. We're not really positional grapplers. We want to get the finish all the time. So that was the biggest challenge at the weekend. I think was with my guys. We were always hunting for subs, whereas I don't think the other teams were quite in the same mindset. It's like, let's win. Let's just win, which I totally understand.
Yeah. So talk to me about some of the subs that come out of 10th Planet. What are you known for?
The main twisters would be the big one. So it used to be called a wrestler's guillotine. So Eddie Bravo used to be called the twister. So yeah, that's probably the biggest one. We play lockdown half guard quite a lot. The truck, obviously rubber guard is a massive thing with 10th Planet. So it's quite a unique guard. One of my guys, Nathan Hambrook, just on Saturday, he tapped out. You have to forgive me, I forget the chap's name. London grapple guy with what they call a Hindulotine. So quite popular pass at the moment, I'm sure is a body lock pass, so people will control the body and smash through. The counter to that, it can be a lot of the rubber guard plays. So Nathan Hambrook, if you jump onto our Instagram, I can't remember what date this is going out, but what is it, June 23rd today?
Yep.
Yeah, so if you go on the Instagram around that time, you'll see Nathan Hambrook hit what they call a Hindulotine, and you can hear the coach from the other corner saying, don't worry, he's got nothing from here. And I'm like, he's about to put him to sleep, dude. Like, he's in a really deep guillotine. It's really nice. The jiu-jitsu people are all cool. So Nathan won the match, and then the coach looked at me and he was like, dude, can somebody tell me what that was? I was like, it's called a Hindulotine. It was really cool. So yeah, so the rubber guard stuff's probably the main thing that we play, which is different to most guards. It's really good. It's really good.
Okay, now I've heard some of the younger athletes describe rubber guard, or at least say that they play rubber guard. Can you describe for me rubber guard? I think I know what it is, but let's just clear up any confusion for anybody.
Yeah, all right. Well, rubber guard it's a clinch-based system, so that's the difference. That I think the thing that people make a big mistake with rubber guard is they play it a bit too open, and there are variations where you can play it open, but it's a clinch-based system. So you're controlling your opponent at the shoulder, not behind the back of the head, at the shoulder by hugging your knee, and then you've got usually your non-dominant leg, not always, but usually your non-dominant leg comes across the back. And then you put your forearm, so you're kind of holding your leg in this kind of position. It gives you really, really good posture control. There's a lot of misconceptions about it being bad for your knee. Like, I've been playing rubber guard for 20 years, so my knees are okay. So I'd say, and I'm not a flexible guy. So if you do it right and you hug the knee, the rule is that we teach the newbies is always keep the knee closer to your chest than the foot. If you pull the foot that way, that's bad for your knee, really bad for your knee. Yeah. But if you clinch it, if you play it as a clinch-based system, then you should be okay. And hopefully I'm proofing the pudding. You watch me blow my knee out on Polaris at the weekend, but no, it's a really good guard. So rubber guard is like saying leg locks. There's so many different variations of rubber guards, all these different positions that we play, you know, chill dog, New York, meat hook, Hindu control. So like, you know, it'd be like saying rubber guard is like saying leg locks, you know, so it's really good.
No, thank you for describing that. Yes, I will. It's encouraging, the fact that, you know, it might be known for messing up people's knees, but if you've been playing it for 20 years, Gavin, there's hope for all of us, because most black belts that I talk to have had some form or another of knee surgery, usually multiple knee surgeries. So how have you avoided knee surgery as a black belt?
Well, I haven't had any surgeries. I've definitely had some injuries in my knees, but none of them came from rubber guard. That's the good thing. Obviously, we play a lot of leg locks too, so that's that's a bit more. But yeah, you know, I'd say if I had to, 20 years of jiu-jitsu, I haven't had any surgery. My worst injury, I mean, like I was talking to you about ribs, but in the pre-up to this, rib injuries have been the worst. My ribs went really bad on my first outing on Polaris. That was probably the worst injury I've ever had, and that was just a movement thing. That was just a getting old thing. But I would say I've avoided, and I'm sure the listeners will not like this answer, but I've avoided heavy wrestling training. So, and I think I love wrestling, and I've grown to really enjoy wrestling, but in my opinion, a lot of injuries live in those really high impact wrestling sessions. It's uncontrolled falling, you know, when you're collapsing there. We all know how to break fall, when you're being taken down and there's a direction change in the fall. And John Danaher talks about this on one of his podcasts. I think that's where a lot of the injuries live. I've been coaching for 10 years, so I've seen it time and time again. We have more injuries from that than we do. I teach heel hooks to white belts. You know, the leg lock program at 10th Planet Banbury, it starts from day one. I teach straights and knee bars to my juniors class, so the little vipers, 4-year-olds on the knee, you know. But we get more injuries from stuff like that than we do any leg lock system, because we all know when to tap, you know. Whereas uncontrolled falls, you know, there's a reason why those scissor takedowns are banned, because you can't control, and I've seen some terrible injuries. So I'd say that's probably how I've avoided, you know, really bad leg injuries. Is I wouldn't say I'm a guard puller, but I wouldn't say I'm not a guard puller. As soon as it gets a bit fruity, I'm like, you know what, I'm not interested in this. Straight down to my butt.
No, that's good. It sounds like that there's a lot of tactics in there, and just keeping yourself safe, because ultimately we all want to be training for as long as possible, and that's the aim of anyone, I believe, that starts jiu-jitsu. I don't know, I would, you know, we can have discussions on that one, but
definitely. And I know there's a lot of eco guys out there that we're going absolutely, what are you doing? Live all the time. I'm like, I don't want to get injured. I want to compete. I want to be, you know, I always say, you know, you should be in the gym. You should be in the gym to get better, not to win. You shouldn't be winning. You know, that's something that I've really had to work on over the last sort of couple of years. Is like, as my team gets better and they start to be able to attack me a lot more than they used to. You're in the gym to get better, not beat everybody all the time. That's not progress, you know. So so it was quite good. It was quite good at the weekend at NAGA, because it was like I was rolling with good guys, some very accomplished grapplers, really good set in my bracket, and they just didn't know the 10th Planet shapes. They didn't know my style, my game, and you know, it felt really cool to see all the rubber guard stuff and the truck stuff, especially. It was just really working for me. It felt really good.
Nice. I like the fact that you're kind of coming to this with your own game, or the 10th Planet game, and you know, kind of focusing on your own game rather than the kind of win aspect of competition. I'm starting to learn that aspect of jiu-jitsu as well, and I'm liking it. It feels a lot more wholesome, a lot more complete. Like, all of the strands are now kind of running parallel rather than a few gaps here and there, which, you know, it's kind of filling in those gaps across all of our games just to get better and continue growing. But you mentioned wrestling. Now, we're of a similar-ish generation. Talk to me about the kind of your heritage and kind of watching wrestling from some of your early days.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love I think it's WWE now, is it? It used to be WWF when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that would be the first, because you know, everybody loves a NAGA belt, and it stems from that, being a kid watching Bret the Hitman Hart hold up his WWE belt. That's and I had a combat jiu-jitsu title. It was the first time I'd won a belt, and my little brother messaged me and he said he doesn't train, he's not into it. He watches UFC and stuff, so he knew, but he knew it was a title fight. He knew it was a big deal. And he said, win the belt for 8-year-old Gavin that used to watch
Oh.
Bret the Hitman Hart. And I was like, oh man. And it really worked. It really made me go in there. It was combat jiu-jitsu as well, which is, I don't know if you've ever done combat jiu-jitsu.
No.
It's horrible. I'm never doing it again. It was the worst experience. And I didn't like James Dorman, the opponent. He fought pro MMA. I was like, well, I don't look at people's tape when I have super fights. I just turn up and do my thing. And I got hit from the bottom. Managed to get a takedown. I was looking at looking enough to get like a body lock takedown. And he hit me with like an upshot from the bottom. And oh my God. And I messaged Ben Eddy the next day, not to name drop. I messaged Ben Eddy the next day. I was like, dude, the shots from the bottom coming up are really bad. He was like, oh yeah, they're some of the worst. I was like, you could have told me that yesterday. it was really good. So yeah, so watching wrestling as a kid, that's probably the first thing that got me into any sort of martial art. And then I went off and did karate for a bit, like everybody did in the 80s.
Yeah.
Kickboxing after that, got a black belt in kickboxing, had some good moments there. And then UFC and MMA started to get popular thanks to Hoyce. So I went to an MMA school, thought I'd be okay. I was a black belt in kickboxing. I was like, oh, I'm fine. Went to the MMA class and just got battered on the ground. And it's that moment that I think a lot of jiu-jitsu people say they have when you first go to jiu-jitsu. You get tapped out, 500 times by all these different people, and you either run from it and you're like, I'm never going back there again, or you're like, oh, I want to know how to do that. So I just became obsessed with jiu-jitsu from that moment on. I fought MMA a few times, but was like, you know what? I just want to grapple. That's all I want to do.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And I love hearing yet another story of, coming from kickboxing or whatever other martial arts as a black belt, coming into jiu-jitsu and kind of then having to deal with the kind of variation. Every martial art feels very unique across all of them. Even now, with my blue belt knowledge, gi and no gi is kind of completely different games, and we can maybe talk about that because I'm still learning and I want to learn more.
Well, you would probably handle me in the gi. I've trained at 10th Planet since I started jiu-jitsu. I'm a loyalist. What can I say? 10th Planet for life.
Yeah.
So I've never trained another system. Obviously, I've been to other gyms and I've done loads of open mats and loads of seminars in other places. So I get to roll with all different styles. But I think if you put a gi on me, I couldn't tell you what a bow and arrow check is. I guess you grab and is it from the back? I don't know. I don't train it. So, but then no gi. All I've ever had is overhooks and underhooks, wrist control, and so it's all about. So it's quite good from a no gi point of view because I've never had the handles of the gi and the lapel to hold on to. So it's it's an interesting one. But my good friend Chris Fenton always says, "Oh, we're gonna roll." So I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I've got you a gi. Put a gi." And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it. It's going to be embarrassing." There's me and my fragile ego again. Look.
No, it's cool. It's about showing up and as your honest self. When you spoke about not having injuries, I just want to kind of revisit. So whilst it's about kind of keeping safe and training for longer, and maybe avoiding some of those kind of heavy wrestling scenarios, I'm really interested to know what element of your mindset has kind of kept you on track and kind of growing. Because from your brother saying, go and win that belt for the 8-year-old Gavin, it feels like there's something deeper and more intrinsic about your being that has kept you kind of growing all this time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have had injuries. I wish I could say I haven't had injuries, but I haven't had knee surgery. That's But this is a contact sport, and I say to people all the time, you wouldn't go to rugby training and get a little bruise and say, "Oh, I can't believe I got hurt." We train a full contact sport. It is a dangerous sport. You're going to get knocks and bruises. The thing that for me is train around your injuries as best you can. I would say when I did my ribs the first time, it was on stage on Polaris. It's the worst possible scenario to happen on Polaris. Your first time out as well. My rib cage just exploded, and I was in hospital for a while. And it was just terrible. And I remember thinking well, it's never going to be that bad again. It took me about 3 months till I was back light drilling. But I kept going to the gym 7 days a week. I couldn't train, but I just helped coach and I do what I could. And it's my academy, so I had to help coach. But there was days when I couldn't. I was trying to get up from the floor after coaching, and my students would have to help me up. But I think when you're injured, if you can still turn up, do what you can, help the gym out, do whatever you can just to keep your toe dipped in that environment. I see it time and time again. People get hurt, they have a month off, and then you never see them again, or they come back and it's just not the same. And I've had people quit the team because of ringworm. they get ringworm. You have some time off with ringworm, and then
Yep.
I never see them again. And I'm like, dude, you were a good blue belt. You're going to quit the whole world because you had ringworm? It's crazy, but so I'd say I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's my ADHD mind that keeps. It's a weird thing because I've grown up with this, like, I'm pretty crazy. So I've grown up and I've had all these different hobbies. My brother, again, he was my best man at my wedding. And he made this speech about me having all these different hobbies. You were a climber, you were this, you were this, you were this. But jiu-jitsu and music are the two things that have just stayed consistent my whole life. Like they've been there. Like I say, jiu-jitsu's been around for 20 years. I'm going to do it. There's no way I can't imagine a world where I didn't train and roll. And I think it might be the community around jiu-jitsu that I don't meet many cooler people than people that grapple. I feel like, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. So, I'm always so since COVID, I'm a bit sort of like recluse when it comes to the outside world. But in terms of grapplers, every time I meet a grappler, I'm like, oh, you're cool. It's very rare that I meet somebody who has grappled for a while who isn't cool. Eddie Bravo calls jiu-jitsu a douchebag filter. He's like, you can't do it if you're a douchebag. You can't do it. And I'm like, you know what? You might be onto something there, dude.
I like that. And it also sounds like you're not willing to give up, but you're willing to accept when you can't train, but still to keep that kind of active element of learning going throughout all of it. And I think that's kind of some of the tenacity piece as well. And it's really heartening to hear. 3 months for a rib injury. It sounds like it was quite a serious one. I've
had both sides go, so I don't know what it is about my ribs. They must be a weak part of my body, but I've learned now when I'm sort of over like big scrambles, rather than like try and win the scramble. If I feel that tension down the side, I just pull back and I just let the person win the scramble. And like my game's completely changed because of rib injuries. When people pass my guard now, the first thing I do is I protect my ribs and then I frame. But it's just what I've learned to do because and I think everybody is individual as well, so you can't really give anybody a set script. This is what you need to do to keep this safe. Everybody's body's different. I try and banana split people or crotch ripper people from 10th Planet, and some people's hips are so flexible you've got no chance. It's never going to happen. Whereas if you get me in those submissions, I'm like, I'm done. Don't worry about it. I'm not that flexible. So people are everybody's different, aren't they? So
absolutely.
But I think that's the main thing is you touched on it there. You said the word learning. Training and learning, they're two different things. You can't, just because you can't train doesn't mean you can't learn. So keep showing up, keep your toe dipped in.
It's hard though. I'm desperate to get back on the mats after my little rib thing. Not as severe, but actually the more over 40s I speak to just recently, there are a number of rib injuries that nobody really talks about ribs. There's lots of knee things, but we're all quite covert about rib injuries. And I'll be, listening and watching for kind of keywords on socials to see whether I now start seeing and hearing more rib injuries. But they happen, and we just need to be patient. I'm really not a very patient person, but we can balance that one.
Yeah, just take your time coming back, because what I found with ribs, they tend to give you like a warning shot, like it'll go, oh, and you'll feel something pull. And then if you keep training on it, it will just go, okay, cool, pink, and it can be so. It's the most painful injury I've had. They were really bad.
All right, we will come back to not talk about rib injuries in a moment.
Yeah, giving me PTSD.
This episode is sponsored by Grapple Worlds. Grapple Worlds is a statement BJJ event hosted in the UK, founded by grapplers who believe in rewarding boldness, where fighters get paid to go for the sub, all fight and submission-focused action from start to finish, with every single match offering a cash bonus for submission. High-level athletes from around the world are invited to show us their fighting best. Go follow @grapple_worlds on Instagram for upcoming events. Grapple Worlds, where the finish is everything. This is a Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. I really do need you to subscribe and review this show to help it grow and fulfill the vision for the future. We are fast approaching 100 episodes, which will be happening on the 25th of October. Put the date in your diaries. We will be having an event that I will share more later. But if you could do the review and subscribe right now, I would be forever grateful. And as always, go and check out the clips on YouTube and Instagram. Today, I'm having a chat with Gavin Stewart. So, Gavin, we have Grapple Worlds. Talk to me about some of the activity for Grapple Worlds, because when this episode goes out, I've already had Corey Kent and I've already had Corey Pickard on the show. The Battle of the Corys. Okay, now, was this intentional, Gavin, with Battle of the Corys?
I'm really cross as well, because I came up with a brilliant idea that the loser of that match has to change their name to Corey, but with an I at the end and a love heart, and they won't do it. I thought, I'll pay for it to be done. They were like, no, don't be ridiculous. So yeah, no, it wasn't intentional. It just, they're both absolute killers. And when we were putting the card together, we were like, oh, that match is going to be fire. So yeah, really looking for it. There's so many good matches on it. A sleeper that I don't think people will realize how good a match it is Shane Curtis versus Lowry. Larry's the head coach at Finland. Is Elvira's coach and husband. And that guy, I've rolled with both those guys. Wow, that's the match to watch. I say that, but then there's a quintet with Nexus versus the well, it's a bit of a mixed team. It's Bank Jiu Jitsu's team, but it's a bit of a mixture. There's just so many good matches. Sam Creasy is on the card, ex-Cage Warriors world champion. You know, it was really weird. Me and I used to do a competition called the Zion Invitational. I needed to rebrand it due to the what's going on in the world and stuff. That word, everything I do is based around the Matrix movie, because I'm a geek and and old. so even my gym branding is all green code.
I love the green. We can talk more about Tech Planet in a minute.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just one point on that though is people think that I designed that code. That young people come to the gym, they're like, "Oh, I really love this design." I'm like, it's the Matrix. How do you not know what the Matrix is? But I gotta go off topic all the time. Sorry about that. What was I saying? I was talking about
Grapple Worlds, calling it on some of the matches, the quintet, and Zion.
So it was called Design Invitational because the design is from the movie, and then politics and the world, and it just became a bit of a dirty word. So I was saying, we need to change the title, and Ed Smith and Nathan Hambrook, two of my purple belts, they took me to the office and said, "Oh, Gav, we hope you don't mind. We're thinking of doing an invitational. We didn't want to tread on your toes." And I was like, "Oh, no. To be honest, I'm kind of done with Zion anyway, like the name." And I said, "Well, hang on, why don't we all get together?" And they were like, "Yeah, we can, but we want it to be big. We want to be like, in line, slightly lower than Polaris, And I was like, "Well, cool. That sounds great." So we called it Grapple Worlds, and it's one of those things, I think when things are supposed to happen, they just snowball. Like when I met my wife, we're very different. We're from different parts of the country, but it wasn't hard at all. It was just so easy. Same with Grapple Worlds. Like before we know it, we've got Brandon McCaffrey. He's quite big in 10th Planet. I'm sure you know who Brandon McCaffrey is, but not everybody does. He's a commentator for Craig Jones Invitational, Eddie Bravo Invitational, UFC Fight Pass. He's a friend, and I was like, well, why don't you commentate for us? Like being cheeky, why don't you commentate for us? And he was like, okay, dude, we can make that happen. I was like, what? So we got Brandon McCaffrey commentating for us, and all these things just seem to just fall into place. It hasn't. I've got to say, the show is 2 weeks away, and so far we haven't really hit any major issues. Obviously, ticket sales, and we're trying to sell tickets and the usual stuff.
I've bought mine. I'm going to be there. I'm really excited.
Oh, you're going to be there. You coming? Did you get a press pass? Surely.
I don't know. That's still to be decided, I think. But I'm
sure we can. If you ask me nice questions, I'm sure we can sort you out.
So obviously, when this episode's going out, it's after that event. But what are you hoping for Grapple Worlds? Not just for this current kind of upcoming or past now event. What's the vision for Grapple Worlds?
I originally thought, before I became a full-time jiu-jitsu coach, I won't say athlete coach, I was going to be a musician. I was really sure that I was going to be a musician. So I come from like a very theatrical, I like to be in front of people. I like to be on stage. I like to be, and I think that's lacking a bit in jiu-jitsu shows. I think people are just like throwing a bunch of people on a mat,
Yep.
Hopefully they have a good match. We take loads of time to match make. We try and make sure we've got even the undercard. We try and make sure we've got really good fair matches.
Yep.
And then I'd like to bring out more of like, rather than just a ring announcer, you're like what do they call them, where you have the ringleader in the circus? Is that what they call ringleaders? And it's more of like
it's not an MC, but it's something like that.
A compare, or I don't know what it's called. Is that yes? So I'd like to bring more of that. So it's more of a show, like you're going to a show with the added benefit of awesome jiu-jitsu matches. Yep. So that's the plan. There's some talk of eventually us turning it into like a Reading and Leeds festival, like where we have Grapple Worlds, and it's a festival of jiu-jitsu. You have a load of seminars, some all sorts of stuff, like yoga and healthcare stuff and Wim Hof method teaching, and then you have your Grapple Worlds at the end of it. So, but who knows? I just want to do something. I just want to put on a really good show, and B, make sure the fighters can get paid. It's a big thing. I don't think grapplers are getting paid enough. There's a couple of shows that I've been on, and I won't name names, but I am like, you haven't put any thought into the show. You're not paying anybody. You're just using this as a cash grab, and that's fine. As long as the grapplers know what they're signing up for. But I don't want to do that. I'd rather give something back to the people if I could, and obviously if I can make some money too, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're kind of bringing out the showmanship, because obviously, kind of growing up watching, whatever wrestling thing that some of us might have watched growing up, it was all very much about show and kind of the experience and just making everyone feel absolutely fantastic, getting the audience involved, and just that whole energy, kind of raising the game.
Yeah, I feel like we love grappling, so if we see a good grappling match, we're going to go, oh, that's a really good grappling match. But then what about if your partner's watching it, or your son or daughter or family member? We should make it entertaining for them as well, so. And I think that's one thing that not one thing, but one of the things that main character in Miami and Texas do really well is they make it entertaining. People turn up in fancy dress, and it was really cool to see. And I was like, and some of the matches, I was supposed to be on that card, but I got sick. I had to. Oh, I hate pulling out, but I had to pull out. And the loser of my match versus Joe Carroll, we had to get the other person's flag tattooed on our body, and we signed it. We were going to do it. I was going to win too, if Joe watches this. But unfortunately, I had to. It's horrible. I got all the way to Austin, Texas, and then got really sick and spent 5 days in bed. It was so sad. But he had another match on that card where the loser, the two Katies, they're both called Katie, and they hated each other. And the loser took 3 power slaps. So it was, and you know what? It was one of those things. It was really entertaining, but then when the power slaps happened, I've got to say, it wasn't just me. Everyone felt a bit sorry for the guy. It was a bit like, all right, this is a bit savage now. But nevertheless, everybody was on their feet, cameras out. It was like, and I looked around and I thought, all eyes on jiu-jitsu. This is how you turn this sport into an entertainment sport. This is how you get people like the UFC interested with their road to the top stuff. So. So now, that's it. Great sport,
you kind of mentioned UFC. I'm only recently a subscriber to UFC BJJ channel, and obviously there's lots of things coming up. I tend not to get into the politics, but I was also disappointed about how low key some of the audiences were for the latest jiu-jitsu matches. They just don't feel like they have the energy around them. Maybe they've just not attracted the jiu-jitsu fans yet, and it's just some high profile individuals that are kind of ticking some boxes, filling some seats to make it all look glamorous. But imagine a whole crowd, an audience that I love jiu-jitsu, that are just there bringing up the game and just making it feel electric. That's what we want.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but you think like the last, I don't know how many Polaris shows, 5 or 6 Polaris shows have all sold out. Have you ever been to a Polaris?
Yes, I went up to Fairfield Halls with the kids. It was amazing.
They're so good. So I look at that and I think this sport, I think it's a really good time to be into jiu-jitsu at the moment. Gi or no gi. Obviously, I'm a no gi guy myself, but I think the sport's about to explode. And I think the UFC being on board and Paddy being rising to fame so well, he's such a good grappler. I think watch this space over the next few years. I think it's gonna go really well.
And we're in it, and we're providing all sorts of things that are going to help grow and build the community from the ground up. And I think that's one of the most important things. Thank you for talking about Grapple Worlds. I'm wishing you all the success and the ongoing success. And I'm very excited to kind of see and hear what comes out of Grapple Worlds in the future. Very excited. I might need to tap you up for my 100 episode thing.
Oh yeah, please do.
But we can talk about that after the show. But let's talk about building up the community and building up kind of ground level individuals that have an interest in jiu-jitsu. For example, coming to 10th Planet Banbury. How do you teach? What's the structure? Talk to me about kind of foundations of 10th Planet.
Yeah. I mean, it's a labour of love. Like I said, I've only ever been a 10th Planet guy, but I love the vibe. I appreciate there are styles out there that perhaps are having more success than the 10th Planet style. You know, the criticism you hear a lot is, 10th Planet haven't won any major titles, but then, we've won lots and lots of stuff, and we've been around for 20 years. So, to me, it's the vibe of it. It's a very sort of like California, SoCal vibe. Like if you ever get a chance to come to our gym, please come in. Music blasting, jokes, a good sense of humor, everybody just getting along. It's we don't bow. That's not our thing. We all shake hands and we've got a lot of respect for each other, but we don't really follow those traditional sort of traditional martial arts sort of rules at 10th Planet. Coaching wise, it's very, I'd say, traditional, whereas we don't bow and we don't do stuff like that. We drill, we warm up, we drill. 10th Planet we're quite a drill heavy system, so we're kind of the opposite of what the eco approach is. We've live drilled since the day I can remember. I can't remember a week when I didn't do live drills, but that's not quite the same as the ecological approach. So, but I would love to have Greg and Eddie do some sort of podcast together, because it'd be really interesting to hear the take. I think the way you get good at jiu-jitsu is you drill it, you learn a move, you drill a move, you live drill a move, and then you put it into your rounds, and then eventually you compete with it, which would be cool. But that's the way I do it. I think, not drilling is going to leave certain gaps and certain holes. I totally appreciate live drilling is how you get good at something, but I think drill it first, then live drill it, And 10th Planet, we're heavy on that. Have you ever heard of the 10th Planet warm-ups? You ever heard of those?
No, I haven't. Tell me all about them.
Yeah, so there's warm-ups there, A through H. So A, for example, is Granby rolls. There's 4 different warm-ups, and they're just flows that Eddie and the black belts have come up with. And we all just, once a week, twice a week, we just drill these flows, and it's an ongoing project. We've been doing it for years and years and years. But I can see, when I watch people roll, I can see the people that do their warm-up drills, and I can see the people that don't. You've just got more awareness of like I don't really play any crab ride or inversion stuff. It's just not my style. It's not what I like to do. I've got guys that are really good at it, but it's just not my thing. But I understand it because I've done my 10th Planet warm-up drills on it. So I sort of have this big, like, wide peripheral vision of the jiu-jitsu world, and then I've cherry-picked the bits that I like for my 10th Planet style. Nice. And I think that's one of the better things about 10th Planet is that we have this like big wide scope. We don't just do 10th Planet jiu-jitsu. We steal off everybody, just like everybody else does in jiu-jitsu. Pinching everybody else's moves. Of course, that's how you evolve. So yeah, we're a very tech heavy gym. We do a lot of drilling. We roll. We roll every session, of course, and we live drill. But I'd say that's probably the biggest difference from what I see to most gyms is we drill the heck out of things. We really do, and you see it in competitions. Technically. When we're on point, it's really nice to see. Nice.
Now, what might someone expect coming to your gym, whether they are a 5-year-old or I was going to say maybe 55-year-old? I'm not in that bracket yet.
Clear that up really quickly. Make sure you clear that up.
I still want to be training at 55. I do like. I still like the kind of the name for NAGA over 40s directors. That's going to stay with me. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. It seems it's better than expert, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not an expert. Okay, so what can all of the age ranges expect if they're starting out? Because it's sometimes really intimidating to walk into a martial arts gym if you've never done martial arts before, because you don't know what to expect. How do you make people feel when they kind of approach your gym to start their first class?
We're lucky. I think we've got a really good team and a really good sort of vibe around our team. I don't think it's an accident either. So you can expect a very friendly training environment. Everybody always straight to them. How you doing, dude? Are you new? Yeah, cool. And when you're new, although we are flow rolling and we're warming up, my guys will tend to just show a little bit of technique, so you can go home with like, oh, look at this, I can put you to sleep in 5 seconds. They go home to their wife or husband, yeah, check this out, and they're like, all right. So you can expect real friendly vibe. The thing I hear the most is that my excitement for jiu-jitsu is contagious, which I love that. Yeah. I'm a bit of a, you probably gathered from this conversation, I'm a bit scatty, I'm a bit all over the place. But I think it's contagious, and people sense like, because I've been grappling for 20 years and I still love this sport. Like this, I've already trained once today, and we're back in tonight. I don't get tired of it. Obviously, I get tired and I need rest days and I need all the other stuff. But and people say that's contagious, which I love that. That's one of my favorite compliments that I get, or reviews I get.
Nice. So it sounds like it's a great thing to be able to start training jiu-jitsu. Now, do you have quite a lot of different ranks within your club, or people that train?
So 10th Planet we grade, so white to black, just like all the others. So the highest grade at my place is brown belt under me. I haven't got any black belts under me yet, so there's a lot of battling going on to see who's going to be my first black belt. So it's quite cool. I'm going to make them work for it though. I might even start taking bribes. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, so we've got white all through brown. I like to think my brown belts are fairly high level. They do very well. So I'm really proud of how they're done. Most of them are homegrown. It used to be that like I said, I've been coaching since I was a blue belt, which I know is a bit of a naughty thing, but this is 10 years ago, and I was a 10th Planet blue belt. And it's also worth noting I was a blue belt for 6.5 years. Thanks a lot, Mick Broster. My fault because I was touring the band, but yeah, it's I was coaching as a blue belt. So it used to be that we grew our own sort of comp team, and we grew our own sort of good grapplers. But now I'm tending to find more and more that people are coming to us to train. So we get a lot of drop-ins from all over the country. People come and train with us. I think we just got a better name these days, and I feel like your competition record speaks for itself, doesn't it? So although, if I can be honest, we are a bit loudmouth and a bit silly at 10th Planet. We have a laugh. I'm a bit of a joker myself. The medals and the belts speak for themselves. You're out competing, and people go against my guys and have really tough rounds. Whether they win or they lose, they have tough rounds. And the response is always the same. Oh, come and drop in with you guys. Can I come train with you guys? And it's like, my door is always open. I encourage cross training. I encourage my guys to cross train. Like, there's no secrets. I'll show you any question you have on rubber guard, any of the stuff we do, I'll show you. No secrets. I want to, if anything, I want to spread the word of 10th Planet. I think it's really good. I know in some circles it gets a bad name, but it's like, come and try it. And I know there's holes in it, just like there is every single style in the world, but come and try it. It's really good. And some of the misconceptions you hear, it's quite nice. Like I say, not in a bad way, but when you hear the other coach say, he's got nothing from here. And then 10 seconds later, the dude's like, yeah. I'm like, he definitely had something.
Oh, it's it's really heartwarming to kind of hear that there's the energy and kind of the variation of belts, and I think some of us find it difficult sometimes to approach clubs that have I was going to say notorious for winning belts or winning medals, because sometimes it's the hard stuff that we need to just kind of launch into, but it's encouraging to kind of come out of our comfort zone and challenge ourselves a bit. Now, do you have any advice for anyone feeling maybe a little bit more timid, to kind of encourage them to progress and learn outside of their comfort zone?
Oh, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Breaking out of your comfort zone it's really hard. I would say, if you're already grappling and you're looking to go to another gym and try it, like most of the gyms I go to, I can't think of a single gym I've gone to where I've had like a really negative experience. Maybe one, and again, I'm not going to name names. It's really, really rare that you go to another gym for a drop-in and they just want to beat you. Even like me, I'm a black belt at 10th Planet, so people want to chew me up when I go to another gym because they want to prove that then I don't mind, it's fine, and I like to think I can have myself. So, but I would say if I give these people listening one piece of advice, is you don't have to roll, you don't have to spar, you just go in and absorb some tech, and if the vibe's not right, you signed a contract. You haven't got to do anything. The amount of times I go to my gym and I say, I'm not going to roll tonight. I've rolled 4 days in a row. I'm exhausted. I've got comp at the weekend. Not tonight. And just take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. I I say this all the time, free men don't ask permission. Like I'll do, I want to get the most out of my training that I possibly can. But if I'm burnt out already and the most out of the training I can possibly get is drilling, I'll drill.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that at all. This misconception that you have to go 100% all the time and you have to go to the absolute. And that's where injuries live. That's how you get injured, or even worse than injured, burnt out, and you fall out of love with the game. So just give as much as you can. If you're in another gym and the vibe's off, put your shoes on and walk out the door. You don't have to be anywhere you don't want to be,
No, that's really reassuring. And kind of we need to give ourselves the permission that, if the vibe's not right, the energy, there's something not quite right. I was out on Saturday night dancing, actually, and I stayed. I didn't quite dance all night, but the energy felt odd kind of about halfway through the evening. And I was like, I could stay and put myself through this. And it's not a kind of full-on contact sport, but it's partner dancing, and you can still sustain injuries, shoulders, elbows and things. And I'm like, if I stay right now, then there's risk of me not enjoying it, not wanting to ever go back dancing, even though it's however many 30 plus years. But the injury, so literally I packed up my bag and I was chalking in my head. It's like I felt embarrassed to kind of walk out midway with my bag and my dance shoes, but actually I was like, nah, the energy's not right. I'm quite happy to leave right now.
I wouldn't say it's embarrassing. I'd say it's empowering. You're listening to your own. You're like, what's more empowering than that?
I know, but it's so hard. It's kind of sat there going, there's such great music, such great dancing, but there's something not right. So I think and I think we've got to give ourselves that permission that if the vibe's off, it's okay. Pack up, walk out, go and live another day.
I was a purple belt when I took this on, and it was thanks to a grappler. I won't mention his name just because I don't know if he'd want me to tell this story connected to him. But I was at a Jiu Jitsu camp in Amsterdam, and I was watching this big meathead rolling with this guy, and this guy's probably like lightweight, maybe even smaller than that. So, and he's cheering this guy up. He's getting the guy that was being rolling with the meathead. He had a big competition, EBI. He was on EBI like in 2 weeks, and this guy, was 6 minute round or about a minute in. This guy's going absolutely mad, and this black belt was legit. He just got up and he shook the guy's hand. He was just like, "No thanks," and just walked off. And I was like, "Wow, you can do that!" And this guy's like world famous. So I was like, "Oh my god, you can do that at that level." You don't. And I just remember seeing that, thinking, I wasn't embarrassed for the guy. I didn't think, oh, that's what a wimp, what a wuss. I remember being like, that's badass. That is real punk rock right there. He just got up and went, no thank you. And it really stayed with me that now when the heavyweights calling me out all the time, I'm like, no thank you. I'm okay. You're 120 kilo purple belt. You go over there and play with your toys. Leave me alone.
I love it. Gavin, whilst Grapple Worlds has already happened, I just want to wish you all the luck with it and kind of future growth. I can't wait to come and train at 10th Planet Banbury. I do love the green lights. I love the Matrix. I love all of those things. So it's a massive draw. I was even tempted to put a green light on behind me, but I thought, nah, I don't want to break my brand.
Matrix code coming down.
I'm sure I will, zap up some B-roll in my AI video footage with some Matrix reference. Anyway, Gavin, how can people follow your journey if they are not already?
Yeah, I mean, we're most active on Instagram, so 10th Planet Banbury Instagram or Gavin Stewart 10p. I'm a bit of a joker, so I'm always sharing stupid stuff. Feel free to comment and take the mick at me. We're quite heavy on TikTok, and then if you're interested in training, you're more than welcome. 10thplanetbanbury.com. There's all information on there about our timetable and how to get a trial class, and just come along and meet the team and get some rounds in. We do loads of open mats, loads of rolling, so it'd be good just to meet everybody. I want to share 10th Planet. I don't want to keep it a secret. Let's get to work.
Amazing. Gavin, thank you so much. Good luck on all upcoming events, your own competitions and team competitions, and Grapple Worlds. I'm very excited. We'll speak soon.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Catch you again. I don't know. Thanks for listening. Catch you again on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu podcast. And thanks for getting this far.